Hello, my name is Vanessa Vargas, and today I will be sharing 3 tips to move past childhood trauma. Before we get started, I just want to mention that I am not a professional. I'm sharing these 3 tips because they have worked for me, and I hope that they can help you too. But if you are still dealing with the negative effects of childhood trauma, or you happen to still be the victim of abuse, please reach out to a professional. I will be linking some resources down in the description box. I wish you the best of luck on your journey. So, before I share the 3 tips, I would just like to tell you a bit of my story. So, when I was around 5 years old, one of my mom's nephews came to live with us. Um, he was much older than me, probably late teens, early 20s. Well, sometime after he started living with us, he began sexually abusing me. Um, I was so young. I didn't get what was being done to me. And I think that's the main reason why I suppressed most of the memories. Um, I only have 2. But even then, the abuse was so traumatic to my mind, to my body, to my soul. And it's the reason why I'm making this video. And here's the thing, this is what's so crazy, and I think this is what non-victims of abuse don't get. Yes, the physical sexual abuse was awful, but that wasn't the worst part. The worst part is how isolated and alone you feel after the abuse. And in addition to that isolation and loneliness, there is this psychological hold, especially if you were a child, that your abuser has on you. That if I'm completely honest with myself, he has to this day. I haven't seen him in years, but part of me still really fears him. So the trauma from the abuse is something that I'm still actively dealing with. And here are 3 things I did to help me cope and heal from that abuse. Number 1, have compassion. Okay, so what do I mean when I say have compassion? I think it's natural to think, well, of course I already feel compassion for myself. Well, the thing is, do you? Here's the thing of being abused as a child. I think a lot of people suppress memories. I think that for me, for example, I shut myself down emotionally so I could cope with the feelings, and that's the way I still deal with coping. I literally numb myself so I don't have to feel the pain and frustration. So here's the thing, you need to have compassion, but not for yourself right now at this moment, for what you went through, for the child that actually went through the abuse. So many of us didn't get to be children because we went through the abuse. We skipped that part, and that's why you need to have compassion for the child. The adult does not need compassion. The adult is actually a stronger, much better person, much empathetic and kinder person because we went through the abuse. That is why I suggest an exercise where you take pen to paper and you show compassion for that child that had to suffer so much. So I'll just read you a little bit. I hope you're okay with that. That's all I would like to share. Just a little bit of the beginning of my letter so you get an idea. Okay, here we go. Dear Renacita, I am so sorry you went through the abuse. You were robbed your innocence. I wish I could give it back to you. I wish you had been able to be a child. And I hope that's helpful. Something really powerful happens once you get going. The emotions that maybe you don't let yourself feel start coming on that page. So it's very, very empowering. So the next part is to have compassion for your abuser. And before you click off, just hang on. For this part, I wanted to speak from the heart and just to connect with you, be like, this is why you should have compassion for your abuser. But words fail me sometimes if I'm just going off the top of my head. So let me read you something I wrote on this topic. Please, please, please try your best to have an open mind. Okay? So, this is on having compassion for your abuser. Now, having compassion for our abuser is easier said than done. When someone has hurt you, it's very easy to hang on to that pain. It's very easy to constantly replay the unkind words or the physical abuse we've dealt with our whole childhood. It could define you and hold you back from living a happy and fulfilled life, and it creates resentment. We're very self-centered beings when we're hurt. When we're hurt, the focus is our pain, and we never step back and question, why did they hurt me? Most often than not, you will find they too have dealt with difficult situation that has led them down this path. This may be ridiculous to you. I get that. I get that. You are the victim. But here's the thing. The world would be a better place if we could just have a little more compassion towards one another. When I look back at my abuser's childhood, this is what I found. There was verbal abuse, there was physical abuse. Mom and dad were out of the picture constantly because of drugs and alcohol. You witness domestic abuse on a regular basis when mom and dad were in the picture. It was bad, it was ugly. So here's the thing. It is difficult to have compassion for the adult that abused you. Trust me. I should probably say I'm not very compassionate. I want to be and follow my own advice. Very difficult to have compassion for the adult that abused you. But if you look back, it might be easy to have compassion for the child that went through so much themselves. Okay, moving on to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is be understanding. Okay, you probably already clicked off and I'm talking to no. Here's the thing. If you somehow manage to have compassion for your abuser, being understanding is a natural extension of that. So remember when I was saying how I look back on my own abuser's childhood and I was able to have compassion for the child. And having compassion for the child and knowing that your abuser had a hard life, went through abuse themselves, I can then understand. Not in the I understand, it's okay kind of way, just logically understand why my abuser did what he did. Now here's the thing. Here's a quote from a psychotherapist, Elise Franklin, based in Los Angeles. She says, being abused is incredibly disempowering. So, someone who has experienced that as a child might grow up trying to overcome that feeling of disempowerment, which can sometimes turn into them conquering others. So, first of all, just so you know, there will be a link to her practice down below if you are interested. Here's the thing, being understanding or logically understanding why your abuser abused you doesn't mean you're saying that it was okay. Because that's the thing, it was not okay. Abuse is abuse and it's awful, and it is not okay. It will never be okay. But being understanding opens the door to our final step, my final tip. Tip number 3, probably the hardest of the 3, is forgive. As I was preparing to tape this video, I realized I hadn't fully forgiven my own abuser. So I decided to take pen to paper, or rather hands to keys, and to write a letter to my abuser where I forgive them. I can honestly say that I have not fully forgiven him, and I'm miraculously healed of my childhood trauma, or from my childhood trauma. But this is what I know. That step is so hard, but we all know is what we need to do. After writing that letter, I felt better. And that's a step in the right direction. So, those are my 3 tips. Please leave a comment down below if you decided to do or practice any one of them. If you did, I would love to hear from you. So please comment and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.